Congratulations, you've now been allowed to work from home, or perhaps you already work from home. But now you're faced with the dilemma: work on a kitchen table that's cramped or work in a tiny spare box room upstairs. You deserve better, and that's why here at Dunster House we have a massive range of garden offices to choose from, such as different styles, different aesthetics, and different shapes and formations. So if you're really considering investing in your very own garden office to work from, you might be thinking, what's the delivery like? What's the assembly like? Do I have the skills to build it? Well, keep watching this video as myself and 3 other DIY rookies tackle the Terminator 3x2 Pent Log Cabin. This video will be us documenting how our delivery came, what to expect with the delivery, the assembly process, how long it took us, and our overall thoughts. So keep watching.
My name's Morgan. Hi guys, my name's Olivia. Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I would rate my DIY competency out of 10, perhaps a 5.
5 out of 10, all round 5s I think out of 10.
I know how to handle a drill.
I can build an IKEA bookcase. I am comfortable building flat pack furniture.
This build will be a challenge for me.
Anything more than that, haven't tried, we'll see.
I feel like I can follow instructions. I'm not sure if I can build an outdoor structure, but
up for a challenge.
Laid out is what we use to build our log cabin. And running through the items quickly, we've got a ladder, a saw, some rubber mallets, tape measure, gloves, a drill with some drill bits, a hammer, a Stanley knife, spirit level, pen, and the instruction manual. Also laid out are some of the screws and nails that will be used for your build.
What Rachel's doing is she's pulling out the plastic that covers your product. If you go underneath it stapled, this is so you can keep the plastic and recover your product if the weather isn't quite as nice as you'd like it to be.
We fulfill most orders using our 3.5 and 7.5 ton vehicles. Here are 4 images that illustrate what you can expect during the process. Our drivers will unwrap and then carefully unload the goods and then rewrap them with the tarpaulin plastic sheets that we provide. So here I'm showing how your delivery will be laid out once you've removed your tarpaulin plastic sheet.
when we're looking at our component list, we realised it may be a generic one. So make sure that when you're checking for your components, you're not looking for something that isn't in your pack. So for example, we were looking for our trapezoid finial, and then in small writing it says, if the component list is empty, this log is not used, and it is empty in the component list. So that's another hint for you when you're trying to build your structure.
This is the time lapse of us unloading the timber, and whilst unloading would measure the timber to correspond it to the manual and figure out what piece it was. But it was also to ensure that we had the exact amount required before the build happened.
Hi, my name is Alejandro. I joined recently. I feel not very confident. I filmed a couple of these buildings, so I know how the process works a little bit, but I'm not an expert, so yeah, let's see how it goes. Bye.
First task of the build was to mark out our bearers, preparing them to be pre-drilled so we can attach them together. We began to attach our bottom wall logs to the bearers, and then again check that our bearers are still in the correct position. After securing the bottom wall logs to the bearers, again we're checking consistently that our bearers have not shifted and skewed. So for us to check it, we got a tape measure and measured from corner to corner. We suggest that our log cabins require 2 people for the build, and that it is estimated to be a 2-day project. However, we are not DIYers, so we have 4 people doing this build. The instructions have also got an illustrated diagram representing how your log cabin's walls should look after installing all the logs, and further recommend at what point you should slot in your windows and door frame. Although 99% of the timber was perfectly straight, we still had some outliers, which meant the need to correct. The method we found to work for us was using a rubber mallet and giving it a good old bash on either sides to shape them in.
We've just constructed all the walls and we've managed to build our door frame, also slot our windows in. Today we're moving on to the roof and then perhaps the flooring, if we're that good. But how is everyone feeling?
Good.
Good?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, more confident after this.
Yeah, I think it was pretty easy to follow. The trickiest bit was actually measuring out the bearers and making sure it was all equal length, but besides that, it was fine. The bottom logs, yeah. I think because we were most stressed out about making sure it was all level.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Most important.
Cool. We've just started to construct our roof, but before we did that, we did remeasure our corners again.
As the log cabin we're building is a Terminator Pent roof 3x2, there's an angle to the roof. The top wall log will be angled, so be mindful that it's facing the right direction when you install your last wall logs. Up next was the installation of our purlins, which is super easy as they just slot in. And here's a clip of our roof boards going in with Rachel and Olivia fixing the roof boards to the purlins with some nails.
So, cabin update. We've just started our roofing. We've had to use ladders for that. Also, sometimes when you're flushing the roof, make sure that they all interlink and join together correctly. After that, we're moving on to our fascia, and we've just trimmed up some timber to the correct length. I think we've been working on the cabin for around maybe 12 hours altogether so far. So you definitely could get this done within 24 hours quite comfortably, I'd say.
And here is the final grand reveal for our roof.
We just put up our fascia support beams, I guess, like timber beams. Is there a proper word for it, Rachel?
I think
These bits.
reinforcement.
Reinforcement. We've just put those up front and back because we completed our roof.
The doors are really easy to install. They just need to be lined up with the hinges onto the door frame and then slowly dropped in. If your doors do not line up or close properly, the sashes are not level and the hinges need to be readjusted. We also fitted door bolts as according to our instructions. We found that the handle installation to be very straightforward. Just make sure that the lock is shifted to the right so that when you install your handle, it isn't in the wrong position. The handle's holes are pre-drilled, so it's a simple case of aligning the handles to the pre-drilled holes and drilling in the screws.
We're measuring our fascias to fit into our cabin, and ta-da! They look great.
What you're seeing right now is us attaching our wind braces to our fascia boards. We've trimmed down the wind braces to fit the cabin. We had to pilot drill holes before drilling the timber together just to avoid wood splits. Ensure that the wind brace and fascia boards are flushed on top so it looks seamless. We also recommend in our manuals to seal the wind brace to the roof with silicone. As this log cabin will be staying indoors, we didn't find it to be a necessary step to complete.
We've finished trimming all of our wind braces and we're going to be attaching them to our fascia boards. And yesterday we had a bit of progress and we actually managed to attach one of the wind braces to our fascia boards. But at the moment I'll be doing the rest of them. Well, how many more? Just the next one because everyone else is upstairs working. So enjoy a time lapse of me pilot drilling and drilling some screws into some wood. Right, I've pre-drilled 5 holes into my fascia, ready to connect my wind brace. I will be needing 50mm screws. Cool, 50 mils. I believe these are 50s. Oh, and let's change my drill.
Continuing with fixing our fascia boards to our log cabin, we just wanted to mark where our screws were going and to double check that the fascia boards sat in line with the back and front of our cabin. And here's Rachel, Olivia and I just finishing attaching the wind braces to our fascia boards. We pre-drilled a pilot hole directly into the timber wall before securing the air vent to the wall. We supply air vents as standard with all of our log cabins, and what Rachel here is doing is that she's pilot drilling holes to avoid splitting timber. When building your log cabin, storm braces can be attached internally or externally, and as this video is for demonstrative purposes, we showed you both. The process is super simple. You just need to pilot drill a hole into the wall before getting a storm brace and screwing it in to attach it to the wall. When nailing your floorboards in, you should leave a minimum of a 5mm expansion gap between the sidewall and the first floorboard, and then remember to leave a 2mm gap between each floorboard.
We've just trimmed down our trims. Also, we just finished putting up our fascia boards on top. So now we'll be drilling in our trims. What did you got for lunch today?
A pesto chicken and cheese tomato and spinach sandwich.
Ooh! Ta-da! And this is the final build for our Terminator 3x2 Pent Log Cabin. I think for 4 people who are complete DIY novice and newbies, for 2 days to build this is actually a lot better than I was expecting, because I was expecting this to go for about a week. But it was quite a fun build to do. It was quite easy as well, so once you got into the rhythm of things, it was really quick to do. You just kind of autopilot and you're just like drilling and just screwing bits and hammering bits along. I really enjoyed building this cabin. It was quite straightforward to read from the instructions and then to kind of do the process. I hope you really enjoyed watching the video. It was really a fun video to film and also to edit. So make sure you hit that like button, and also if you have any tips you want to share with the Dunster House community, leave them in the comments down below, or any tips and tricks for us to learn from. And hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Bye!